Somewhere above the last soft layer of cloud, where the air turns cool and silver and the world below becomes only a memory of light, there is a castle that does not belong to time. It has always been there, and it will always be there, floating so gently that even the birds who pass beneath its towers barely notice the shadow. Tonight it is waiting for you. You do not need to do anything but listen. You do not need to hold on to any thought or finish any sentence in your mind. Just let your body soften into whatever is holding you right now. The mattress, the cushion, the blanket pulled up to your chin, and let your breath slow, just a little, the way it does when you already know you are safe. Picture it if you like, or simply let the feeling of it settle over you, without any picture at all. Pale towers rising out of a sea of cloud, windows glowing gold and amber against the deep blue of an endless twilight sky, banners drifting slowly in a wind too gentle to hurry anything. But there is no clock ticking loudly here. There is no reason to rush. The castle has been drifting for longer than anyone can remember, and it will keep drifting long after tonight, carrying its quiet halls and warm firelight wherever the high winds decide to take it. Somewhere far above the clouds, a castle is drifting slowly through the quiet dark, and it has been waiting for someone like you. Before we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw loosen, your hands go soft and open, palms up or curled gently at your side, however feels most natural. If the light in your room is still on, this is a good time to dim it, or to close your eyes and let the darkness behind your eyelids become its own kind of night sky. Tonight, we are going somewhere very far away, and also somewhere that feels strangely familiar, like a place you visited once in a dream you can almost remember. We are going up, above the noise of the day, above the weight of everything you carried since morning, up through layers of cool gray mist, until the world below disappears completely, and all that is left is soft light and quiet air. There is a castle up there. It is made of pale stone the color of moonlight on water, and it moves without ever seeming to move, drifting so slowly across the sky that 100 years might pass between one tower and the next cloud it touches. Time behaves differently here. It does not rush. It does not demand anything of you. It simply flows, like a river made of hours instead of water, carrying you gently toward rest. There is nothing you need to figure out tonight. No decisions waiting, no tasks left undone. Just this soft, unhurried journey, moving at whatever pace feels right to your own tired mind and body. If you fall asleep before we ever reach the castle doors, that is perfect. If you drift in and out, catching only pieces of the story, that is perfect too. There is no wrong way to listen to this. There is no wrong way to rest. You will not need to remember anything I say. You will not need to hold on to the story. If your mind begins to drift, if your thoughts grow soft and slow and start to blur at the edges, that is exactly right. That is exactly where we are going. So let your eyes stay closed, let your breathing settle into its own unhurried rhythm, and let's begin the climb, one slow breath at a time, up into the quiet. The climb begins the way all good dreams begin, without any real beginning at all. One moment you are here, wrapped in warmth, and the next moment you are rising, weightless, through cool ribbons of mist that curl around you like silk scarves caught in a gentle wind. The air smells faintly of rain that has not yet fallen, clean and mineral, with a hint of something sweeter underneath, like crushed lavender carried on a high current. Below you, the clouds spread out in every direction, an endless pale ocean lit faintly from beneath by the last blue hour of a sun that has already set somewhere far away. Above you, the sky deepens into a soft indigo, scattered with stars that seem closer here than they ever do from the ground, close enough that if you reached out slowly, unhurried, you might brush your fingertips against one and feel only a gentle warmth, like the last ember of a candle. And there, ahead of you, rising out of the cloud bank, as though it had always been waiting for exactly this moment, is the castle. It is built from stone the color of pearl and old ivory, softened at every edge by centuries of wind, so that no corner is sharp and no wall feels cold. Its towers do not reach upward in the proud, defensive way of the castles from old stories. Instead they curve gently like the stems of enormous flowers, each one topped with a dome of pale glass that glows faintly amber from some quiet light within. Long banners hang from the highest points, but they do not snap or flutter with urgency. They drift, slow and heavy, the way a curtain moves in a room where every window is open just a little. You draw closer, and the castle does not loom. It welcomes. A wide bridge of the same pearled stone extends out toward you, arching gently over nothing at all, over clouds and stars and the vast quiet distance below, and somehow you know, without needing to be told, that it will hold you completely. Your feet find the bridge, and the stone beneath you is neither cold nor warm, just steady, solid, real in a way that nothing else up here quite is. With every step, the castle grows larger, its details becoming clearer. Ivy, the color of sage, growing along the lower walls, small windows glowing gold, a distant sound of wind chimes made of something like glass or crystal, so faint and so slow that each note seems to hang in the air for a long, long moment before the next one begins. Far below the bridge, where the clouds fold and unfold in slow silver waves, you catch sight of a single bird gliding on some current far beneath you, wings barely moving, riding the air the way a leaf rides a gentle stream. It does not hurry. It simply drifts, circling once, twice, before disappearing into a fold of mist, unbothered, unafraid, entirely at ease, in a world with no ground beneath it. The wind here moves differently than the wind you know from the ground. It does not push or pull. It simply flows around you, soft and constant, carrying with it the faint scent of rain that never quite falls, and something sweeter beneath that, something like night-blooming flowers from a garden you cannot yet see. Your hair stirs gently, the hem of whatever you are wearing shifts and settles. Nothing about this wind asks anything of you except that you notice it, and let it pass through you, unhurried, the way it passes through everything else up here. Above, the stars have begun to gather more thickly, clusters of them scattered like spilled sugar across the deep blue of the sky, and here and there one drifts slowly across the others, not falling, simply moving, the way everything in this place moves, without hurry, without destination, content simply to travel. There is no rush to reach the doors. You could stop here in the middle of the bridge and simply stand, feeling the soft high wind move through your hair, watching the stars turn so slowly above you that you would need to watch for hours to notice they had moved at all. And if your mind wants to rest right here, on this bridge, above the clouds, wrapped in that quiet chiming air, that is more than enough. You have already arrived at peace. Everything from here is simply an unfolding, a slow and gentle deepening of the same stillness you already feel. Notice, if you like, the small details that make this place feel so unhurried. The way the moss growing between the bridge stones is a deep, soft green, cool beneath your feet where it gathers in the cracks. The way the clouds below don't simply sit still, but move in slow, rolling waves, like the surface of a vast, pale sea, breathing in and out beneath you. The way the light from the castle's windows doesn't flicker sharply, but pulses gently, warm and then slightly warmer, as though the flames inside are breathing too. There is a smell here that you might remember from somewhere else, somewhere from long ago, though you cannot quite place it. Clean linen dried in open air, the faint sweetness of beeswax, a hint of wood smoke from some chimney tucked into one of the far towers. It is a smell that says home, even though you have never been here before, even though nothing about this place should feel familiar. A soft chime sounds from somewhere above, slow and round and low, like the very edge of a bell rather than its center. It rings once, it fades. You wait without needing to wait for anything in particular, and after a long, comfortable silence, it rings again, softer still, as though the castle itself is settling into evening the way a person settles into a favorite chair Above you, one of the pale domes catches the last light of a sun long since set, glowing faintly amber, then rose, then a deep and gentle blue, the colors shifting so slowly that you could watch for a very long time and still not be sure exactly when one shade became the next. This is the nature of everything up here. Nothing changes all at once. Everything simply, slowly, becomes something else. The way a held breath becomes an exhale. The way waking becomes sleep. Your shoulders have already begun to loosen without you quite noticing. The high, cool wind that moves across the bridge doesn't chill you, it simply smooths over you, the way a hand might smooth a wrinkled blanket, leaving everything beneath it calmer than before. And if your mind wants to rest right here, on this bridge, above the clouds, wrapped in that quiet chiming air, that is more than enough. You have already arrived at peace. Everything from here is simply an unfolding, a slow and gentle deepening of the same stillness you already feel. But if you would like to continue, the doors of the castle are open, just slightly, spilling a warm, buttery light out onto the stone, and somewhere inside, the hallways are waiting. Inside, the air is warmer, touched with the scent of beeswax candles and old parchment and something faintly like sandalwood. The entrance hall stretches upward farther than seems possible, its ceiling lost in soft shadow, and yet it does not feel vast or empty. It feels held, the way a large old library feels held, full of quiet corners and soft light, and the sense that nothing bad has ever happened here. The floor is stone, but it has been worn smooth by centuries of slow footsteps, polished to a gentle sheen that reflects the candlelight in long, wavering streaks of gold. You begin to walk, unhurried, and your footsteps make almost no sound at all, as though the castle itself has decided that tonight should be quiet. Along the walls, tall arched windows look out onto the endless field of clouds, each one framed with pale curtains that move only slightly, stirred by some current of air too gentle to feel. Between the windows hang paintings, not of battles or kings, but of soft things. A meadow at dusk, a boat resting on still water, a single candle burning in an otherwise dark room. Each one seems to have been chosen for exactly this purpose, to soothe rather than to impress. You are not alone in the castle, not entirely. As you move deeper into the hallway, you become aware of a presence somewhere ahead, unhurried and calm, like the feeling of knowing someone is in the next room, even before you hear them. It is the keeper of the castle, though you will likely never see more than a suggestion of them. A long pale robe disappearing around a distant corner, a soft humming melody drifting back down the corridor, the faint scent of chamomile tea carried on the warm air. The keeper has lived in this castle for longer than anyone can say, tending to its slow rhythms, lighting its candles each evening, winding the great clock in the highest tower that does not measure hours, but measures something softer, something like the depth of a person's rest. The keeper does not rush toward you, does not call out, does not ask anything of you at all. They simply move ahead, humming, leaving open doors and warm-lit rooms in their wake, as if inviting you to follow at whatever pace feels right. You pass a room with a low fire, crackling gently in a wide stone hearth, 2 deep armchairs turned toward the flames, a folded blanket draped over the arm of one, as though someone had only just stepped away. You pass a small library, shelves rising into shadow, a single reading lamp glowing over a chair where a book lies open to a page halfway through, waiting patiently for someone to return to it, with no urgency at all. Eventually, the hallway leads you to the base of a wide, spiraling staircase. Its steps carved from the same pale stone as everything else, worn soft and smooth in the center of each tread by countless slow footsteps over countless slow years. There is no railing here, only a gentle curve of wall on one side, cool beneath your fingertips if you choose to rest your hand against it as you climb. The stairs rise higher than seems possible from below, disappearing into a soft haze of candlelight and shadow, and yet the climbing itself does not feel effortful. Each step seems to lift you as much as you lift yourself, as though the castle were gently helping you upward, unhurried, patient, matching its pace to whatever pace your tired body can offer tonight. Small alcoves are carved into the walls along the way, each one holding a single candle, their flames swaying only slightly, casting long, soft shadows that stretch and shrink as you pass. Halfway up, you pause at a wide landing where a tall window looks out over the whole sweep of cloud and star below, and for a long, unhurried moment, you simply stand there, one hand resting against the cool stone sill, watching the silver landscape drift slowly past beneath the castle's steady climb. The whole way curves gently to the left, following some old and comfortable logic, neither straight nor sharp, and gradually you notice that the light around you is changing. The warm gold of candlelight begins to soften into something cooler, something touched with silver and blue, and you understand, in the unhurried way you understand things here, that you are being led toward the highest part of the castle, toward a room made almost entirely of stars. You pause for a moment beside one of the tall arched windows, looking out at the clouds sliding slowly past below, silver blue in the starlight, endless in every direction. Somewhere out there, very far away, is the world you came from, but it feels distant now, in the softest possible way, like a room you left with the light still on, knowing you would return to it eventually, but in no hurry at all. Further along, you pass a small alcove, tucked into the wall, barely large enough for a single, cushioned bench, and a small round table holding a teapot that never seems to stop steaming, gently, no matter how much time passes. The steam curls upward in slow, lazy spirals, catching the candlelight, dissolving into the cool air of the hallway. You could sit here if you wanted. You could simply watch the steam rise for as long as you liked, and no one would ever come to hurry you along. The walls themselves seem to hum faintly, a sound so low it is almost more feeling than sound, like the deep quiet resonance of a large bell long after it has been struck. It seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, from the stone itself, as though the whole castle were a single enormous, gentle instrument, tuned only to calm. Somewhere above, you hear the faint, unhurried creak of a great clock, winding forward by a single, slow notch, and then silence again, long and soft and undisturbed. The keeper's humming grows a little clearer as you continue, drifting back to you from somewhere further down the hall, a melody with no real beginning or end, simply a slow, looping comfort of a tune, the kind that seems to have always existed, half remembered from childhood, or perhaps from some other, gentler life. You pass a window seat piled with cushions the color of dusk, a cat curled and sleeping in a spill of moonlight, one ear twitching faintly at the sound of your footsteps before settling again into stillness. Nothing here is startled by your presence. Nothing here is anything other than at peace. Partway along the hallway, a set of tall glass doors stands open onto a small balcony, and you find yourself drawn toward it, unhurried, simply curious. Outside, the balcony is edged with a low stone railing, softened by trailing vines of something like jasmine, small white blossoms glowing faintly in the dark, their scent drifting sweet and cool on the high air. From here, you can see more of the castle than you could from the bridge, its towers rising and curving around you in a slow, gentle spiral, each one topped with its own dome of pale glass, some glowing amber, some glowing a deep, quiet blue, like a whole handful of soft lanterns scattered across the sky. Between the towers, thin bridges of stone arch from one rooftop to another, and here and there you can see small figures moving along them, unhurried, robed in pale colors, going about whatever slow, quiet tasks the castle requires of its keepers. Below the balcony, the clouds stretch out endlessly, lit now by the rising moon, a vast silver landscape of soft folds and valleys, more beautiful than any ocean, more peaceful than any field. A single star seems to rest right at the edge of the railing, so close you could almost cup it in your hands, and for a long moment you simply stand there, breathing slowly, watching it pulse its soft light in time with your own heartbeat. There is a bench here too, carved from the same pale stone as everything else, its surface worn smooth and warmed faintly from some hidden source of heat beneath. If you sat here, even for a moment, you would feel the last of the day's tension leave your shoulders entirely, sinking down and away, dissolving into the clouds below like mist into morning. Eventually, when you are ready, and only when you are ready, you turn back toward the open doors, and the hallway welcomes you again, warm and golden and quiet, leading you onward, deeper into the castle's heart. Not far past the balcony, you pass a small round room where a single stringed instrument rests against the wall, something like a harp, though smaller and simpler, its strings catching the candlelight in thin, bright lines. As you pass, a draught of air moves through the room, brushing gently against the strings, and they answer with a few soft, scattered notes, so quiet and so random that they sound less like rap music and more like the room itself sighing contentedly in its sleep. Further along, the hallway widens into a gentle alcove where a wide window seat looks out over a small hidden garden tucked into a hollow between two towers, sheltered from the wind. Pale flowers glow faintly in the dark, and a shallow pool of water at the garden's center reflects the stars so perfectly that for a moment it is difficult to tell which is sky and which is water. A slow trickle of a fountain fills the air with a soft, steady sound. Water over stone, endlessly patient, endlessly the same. You do not need to stop here either, though you could. The whole castle seems built this way, full of small, quiet rooms and hidden gardens and warm corners, each one an invitation rather than a destination, each one saying simply, rest here, if you like, for as long as you like, and then continue on whenever you are ready. A little further on, the corridor opens into a wide circular room lined floor to ceiling with shelves, each one filled with books whose spines have long since faded into soft, unreadable pastels. This is the castle's library, though it feels more like a nest than a room, warm and close and softly lit by dozens of small lanterns hung at different heights, each one glowing with the same low amber light. In the center of the room, a great soft rug covers the floor, and scattered across it are cushions of every size, some large enough to sink into entirely, some small enough to tuck beneath an elbow. A fire burns low in a wide hearth along one curved wall, crackling so quietly it barely interrupts the silence at all, just enough to remind you it is there, warm and steady, watching over the room. The keeper is here now, or nearly here, their presence felt more than seen, a soft rustle of robes near the highest shelves, a low contented hum as a single book is returned gently to its place. You do not need to look up. You do not need to know exactly where they are. It is enough to feel that you are not alone, that someone gentle is nearby, tending quietly to this small, warm world while you rest. One of the cushions nearest the fire seems shaped exactly for you, low and wide and deep, and if you wanted, you could sink into it here and let the whole rest of the journey happen only in your mind, drifting off to the sound of the fire and the faint turning of pages somewhere above. But the castle is patient, and so is this story, and there is no wrong choice here, only the next soft step, whenever you are ready to take it. Your steps continue, slow and steady, one after another, each one a little heavier than the last, each one sinking a little deeper into the quiet, and the hallway seems to stretch on gently before you, patient and endless, exactly as long as you need it to be. At the end of the hallway, a final door stands open, and beyond it is a room unlike any of the others. The ceiling here is glass, all glass, curved into a gentle dome that holds the entire night sky above you, close and clear and endless. The stars are not distant pinpricks here. They are soft, low, drifting slowly across the glass like lanterns carried on an unseen current. Some of them pulse faintly, breathing light in and out, in the same slow rhythm as your own breath, if you let it settle into theirs. The floor of the room is covered in something soft, like moss touched with starlight, cool and gentle, beneath bare feet. In the center, a wide low bed waits, piled with blankets, the color of midnight, and deep plum and soft grey, each one impossibly soft, each one warm without being heavy. You lie down, and the bed seems to hold you exactly the way you need to be held, and above you, the stars continue their slow, unhurried drift. The stars move, the stars move, the stars move slowly overhead, and the castle drifts slowly through the clouds, and your breath moves slowly in your chest, and everything is moving at exactly the same gentle pace. Outside the glass dome, wisps of cloud drift past like slow grey rivers, and somewhere far below, the world continues in its own hurried way. But none of that reaches you here. Here there is only the soft creak of old stone settling, the distant hum of the keeper's lullaby drifting up through the floor, the occasional whisper of wind against glass. The stars move, the clouds move, the castle moves, and you, wrapped in warmth, held by soft blankets and soft light, begin to move too, drifting a little further from the room, a little further from thought, a little further into the quiet. Somewhere above you, one star grows brighter, then softer, then brighter again, breathing its slow light down onto the bed, onto your closed eyes, onto your quiet hands. It does not ask anything of you. It only shines, softly, patiently, the way it has shone for longer than anyone can remember, and will keep shining long after you have drifted all the way into sleep. The bed itself seems shaped by something more than stone or wood, as though the castle had grown it slowly over centuries, softening its edges year after year until it became exactly this, low, wide, cradling, the kind of bed that seems to have been dreamed into existence rather than built. The blankets pool gently around you, heavier at the edges, lighter near your chest, arranged as if unseen hands had tucked you in only moments before you arrived. Somewhere near the edge of the room, a small table holds a cup of something warm, faintly sweet, touched with honey and chamomile and something like starlight itself, though you do not need to sit up to reach it. It is enough simply to know it is there, waiting, patient, unhurried, the way everything in this castle waits. The blankets around you shift slightly as you settle deeper into them, and you notice, with a soft kind of wonder, that they seem to hold exactly the right amount of warmth, no more, no less, as though the castle had been expecting you, had known exactly how you liked to be wrapped up at the end of a long day. Through the glass above, a slow trail of cloud drifts across the lower stars, softening their light for a moment before moving on, revealing them again, brighter now, closer now, as though they had leaned in gently while you weren't looking. The keeper's hum reaches this room too, faint and distant, filtering up through the floor like warmth rising from a hearth 2 rooms away. It is the last sound you notice clearly before the room, the stars, throws, and your own thoughts all begin to blur softly together at the edges, the way the edge of sleep always blurs, gentle and formless and entirely safe. Around the edges of the glass dome, thin curtains, the color of dusk, hang perfectly still, though every now and then a slow current of night air stirs them just slightly, just enough to remind you that somewhere far below the world is still turning, still breathing, still moving through its own quiet hours while you rest here, suspended above it all. If you listen closely, beneath the wind and the distant hum and the occasional soft creak of settling stone, there is another sound, so faint it might only be imagined, the low, slow rhythm of the castle's great clock, ticking not in seconds but in something longer, something closer to the pace of a sleeping heartbeat, patient and unhurried, marking time only loosely, only gently, the way a lullaby marks time. The star nearest the center of the dome brightens once more, slow and warm, spilling a soft gold light down across the blankets, across your hands, across your closed or nearly closed eyes. It feels, for a moment, like being tucked in by something much larger than yourself, something old and kind and endlessly patient, content simply to watch over you until you drift all the way into sleep. You could stay here for 100 years, and it would feel like a single night. You could stay here for a single night, and it would feel like coming home. Either way, there is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do, only this warmth, only this softness, only the slow and endless drift of stars turning gently overhead. The stars move, the stars move, the stars move slowly overhead. The wind is soft against the glass. Far below, the clouds have turned the color of old silver. The castle drifts, slowly, so slowly. Somewhere, a chime sounds once and fades. The blankets are warm, your hands are still, your breath is slow. In and out, in and out. The stars are dim now, most of them, only a few still glowing, soft and low, like the last embers of a fire, settling into rest. The keeper's hum has faded to almost nothing, a thread of sound somewhere far below, in some other quiet room. The castle drifts. Time moves differently here. It barely moves at all. A minute could be an hour. An hour could be a single slow breath. It does not matter. Nothing here is waiting to happen. Nothing here needs you to be anywhere else. The blankets are warm. The room is quiet. The stars are dim. The castle drifts. Slowly, so slowly. Your eyes are heavy now, heavier than they have been all day, heavier than the stone walls, heavier than the soft grey clouds outside. Let them close. Let them rest. The castle will keep drifting long after you stop noticing. The stars will keep glowing long after you stop watching. You do not have to hold on to anything anymore. You can let it all go now. The wind is soft. The room is warm. The stars are dim. You are safe. Section 5. Closing / fade to stillness. Somewhere, far above the clouds, a castle drifts through the quiet dark. Somewhere, a fire is settling into embers. Somewhere, a book waits open on a chair no one has returned to. Somewhere, a keeper hums a lullaby so quiet it has almost become silent. Somewhere, the stars breathe their slow light down onto a bed of soft blankets. Somewhere, you are already asleep. The wind moves gently against old stone. The clouds turn slowly beneath a castle that does not hurry. The night is long and soft and endlessly patient. There is nowhere else to be. There is nothing else to do. Only this quiet, only this stillness, only the slow drift of a castle among the stars, carrying you gently, gently, gently into rest.